Hello! Happy Friday. Happy Pie Day. I am still not feeling great today. We skipped yesterday's stream because I felt truly awful. I'm feeling better today, still not great. It might end up being a short stream if I decide that I am not feeling up to continue and I need to go lie down again. But we're at least going to get a few things done today. Get a little bit of stuff fixed up. I was just looking at my to-do list during the initial ad break, and we have a few bug fixes here that are all definitely worth doing. The first one, make Waller request cyanic with a high priority. We were out of cyanic acid and ammonia on Tuesday. And I changed cyanic acid here so that it now has high priority for ammonia. And I want to do the same thing at the other side so that ammonia has high priority for cyanic. That way they will always like feed each other first if there's excess demand for one or the other. And that way that loop should never, ever fail again. So that's easy. That's just dropping a couple of combinators off up at Waller synthesis, wherever that is. Thought it was right up here. Oh, here it is. I was looking for it at the start of a label. It's ammonia via Waller. It seems like it got cyanic, but I just to be on the safe side, I want to drop that combinator off. Other thing on the to-do list was on Tuesday, we made this build, which makes shale oil from manure. What did I call this in YAFC? I just called it shale oil. All right, we'll just call it shale oil here as well. And I just ran out of rail signals in my inventory for that, so just before we have an accident, I want to go put all those rail signals down. And well, this is not really, we'll move that down. The other bug fix was fertilizer seaweed. I guess I could also do this with priorities like I'm doing for cyanic and Waller. But all of our everything is dead because we have no fertilizer. And that means that fertilizer, in turn, is not getting seaweed because we're out of seaweed because we have no fertilizer. Fertilizer at one point had its own seaweed. And I can either set it as a high priority input again for seaweed, or we can just put seaweed back. Let's check that in YAFC. Oh, lol. We've been on the YAFC tab the whole time. I just accidentally set the YAFC tab to capture the game instead of YAFC. That's funny. At least the VOD will be right. Let me just double check. Game tab, yes. YAFC tab, yes. Okay, we're good. What I want to double check is fertilizer. Okay, yeah, this was doing seaweed 2 before. Ew. Yeah, if we want to do this with seaweed 1, I assume that it's, yeah, 40 facilities. What if we get upgraded seaweed? 20, 14, 7, 10. Okay. So if we really wanted to push on upgrading our seaweed, we could get this down to a reasonable number. Really don't necessarily want to be doing this with Seaweed Mark II. Maybe we just do it as a priority then. We set this up the same way that we did for cyanic and waller. We'll just set this to be like the highest priority seaweed sink. And then we'll still have to like bootstrap this. That means seaweed also needs to be the highest priority thing for fertilizer as well. So maybe we just fix it with priorities. Maybe that is the thing to do. And that's fine. What I actually want to do here, now that I'm thinking about this, is... let's set this as a 2. That's not just high priority, that's like highest priority. Or higher than even high priority, right? We want to keep these loops going at all times. Same with the seaweed to fertilizer loop. We're going to want that going at all times. Okay. Interestingly, we're out of methane. Why are we out of methane? Fertilizer. Okay. So yeah, we need to, I think everything is currently about loops. Let's grab a bunch of seaweed. Oh. Seaweed is just so that I can rebootstrap the fertilizer seaweed. For now, though, let's head over to Waller synthesis and to the seaweed build, and we'll get their high priority inputs figured out. For these loops. Where's cyanic? We just want to take that. All right, so this should be high priority for cyanic now. Moss, seaweed. Fertilizer at 20. I think that's how this works. I always forget if this takes thresholds in... When this is in stack thresholds, I think station control is also in stacks. Where else do I do this? Where do I set custom thresholds? Yeah, okay, I'm just doing this with a constant combinator, and it appears to be in terms of stacks. 10 and 10 here. So I think... I mean, I could use a constant combinator here. I don't need the special logic of the station control combinator. There we go. Fertilizer and priority. Done. So this should now be the highest priority for fertilizer. And then if we go do the same thing over at fertilizer for it requesting seaweed. Oh, we have inserter capacity bonuses now, which means that we don't need as many inserters to fill a belt. Woohoo! I wonder how much our base power dropped just from inserter capacity. Like, obviously, a lot of it is stack inserters anyway, and those aren't going to be any better, but, like... Alright. So that is looking fine. And this should, yeah, this will dispatch pretty quickly. And I just want to confirm that it actually does go to the seaweed station first. And we do also still need to go drop off the rail signals for shale oil. Let's head down there. I can check this in a second via the map. We don't have to stay here. At this point, all the combinators are in place, so, like, if I did do something wrong configuring them, I can fix that from remote view. I don't have to be on site like I do for construction, right? So... It's good to see these running. I did a manual delivery of those up to the base or up to the mall. Did I do that on Tuesday or did I do that last week? I don't remember. But I did do a manual delivery of those. So the big thing we are waiting for with respect to the whole mall situation is just the self-assembly monolayer material. That's pretty much it. Does all this look right? All of this looks not quite right. That's right. That's right. That looks short. I'll make it one of those. Cool. This shale oil build we did last time. This is for vat brains, which I also did not label. And these guys are probably sitting... Oh, no, we're not blocked on shale oil, right? No. Oh, no, we are. Sorry. This shale oil build is just a kerogen sink, but we're not making enough kerogen. Our stone demand is too low, so we're not doing stone mining, which is why we had to set up this manure-based shale oil. This one will still run as a kerogen sink, because we may as well make use of it. Previously, we were voiding Keragen, also to shale oil, but it was like in an old shale oil void on the belt base that was ultimately just feeding power, and it was not feeding a lot of power. So it was not worth maintaining. So yeah, this is... Once this gets shale oil coming in, this will be running a little more continuously, hopefully. And is shale oil here chugging along? It is chugging along. What are we up to? 16K? So it'll get its first real load of shale oil pretty soon. The other things that are... Oh, here, let's finish doing this. The, as far as chemical science goes, we did get nuclear going last time. It's all set up. We're still waiting for some of the inputs to arrive, I believe. Yeah, mainly hydrogen peroxide. I mean, it should be able to get that soonish. I'm not sure, you know, of our various hydrogen peroxide stations, which ones are gonna need like quantity. But we are consistently making nuclear fuel here. Oh, this is not prioritized right. That might be why this system keeps not working. We've been voiding half of our U-238. All right. Well, there's your problem. I was wondering why this kept backing up. I was like, it shouldn't be able to back up. That doesn't make sense. Because, yeah, this uses 5 times as much U-238 as it does U-235, but this produces 9 times or something like that. Yeah. So this should catch up now on the U-235. It'll dump all the U-238 on this belt for a while, and that will, that should solve the problem. And U-235 decays in 45 minutes, so hopefully we won't hit any decay there. I should probably do something with this. Like, have some sort of back pressure so we're not making... so we're not processing uranium if we don't have to. That way we don't end up with like a belt full of uranium here that just slowly decays. Because the yellow cake doesn't decay. I need to decide what that looks like, though. That's gonna be like... if we have depleted cells backing up somewhere, and maybe I just need to put a little chest in line so that we can handle the cells backing up. So, like, if we have cells backing up somewhere, and... Yeah, I gotta think about that. Because, like, we can turn this off if we have cells backing up somewhere, but that's gonna leave, like, some small amount of uranium around here to spoil, and maybe that's fine. Maybe we just let it do that. Like, maybe it really is as simple as just, like, putting a buffer chest in right here. And tying this to that. And, like, yeah, we might end up with, you know, because this takes 3 U-235, right? And if we end up with 2 U-235 in here, then that'll spoil. But, like... it's effort to figure it out any other way. I could hook up, like, all of our belts and chest and this to a arithmetic combinator and do like a run if the chest is above a threshold or our U-235 mod 3 is less than some number. Or U-235 mod 3 does not equal 0, right? Because that would do the trick. And, you know, in theory, this should never really be buffering U-235. That was only an issue because we messed up our things. Yeah, let's play with some combinators over there. Let's see if we can come up with a good answer for this. I think we can. Oh, we also need... also need to fix our roads. As I'm sure we are going to be back and forth here a lot, and I have been lazy with the road situation. Alright, so let's think about what our conditions are. When do we want this to run? Hold all belts. Read contents there. 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 Hold all belts. There. Hold all belts. There. Hold all belts. And here. Oh, can I not read the contents of a splitter? Interesting. Really? I can't read splitter contents? I can do everything else, but I can't read the splitters. Okay. That's fine. That's close enough. We want to read the contents of this inserter, and that... Read ingredients, no. Read contents, do not include in crafting. So let's drop a decider combinator down. Okay. And we also want to put a buffer here, so let's move this splitter down a little bit. Really? What about on this side? There and there? Okay. Yeah, if this starts to back up as well. Okay, so what are our run conditions? This is going to be a bunch of ores. We're going to run if uranium fuel cells are less than, I don't know, 100, right? If we're not backing up on fuel cells, then just run. Or we want to run if we'll just say the U-238 is less than the U-235. Basically what that means is our U-235 has been, or we've used up our U-238. We had a weird round of luck going back and forth between the two of them, and we have too much U-235. Or the last condition is if our U-235 mod 3 does not equal 0. Because what that means is that we're going to have leftover U-235, so we need to run this thing a few more times to get us to mod 3 does not equal 0. Yeah, and it looks like as we pass things through here, everything is yeah, everything's working right there. So I think I just need the arithmetic combinator. And U-235 mod 3, we got to put that on a secondary signal. We'll just call that U. 22 mod 3 is 1, sure. Or U does not equal 0. Yep, so this is saying right now, oh look, we have lots of U-238. Yeah, in theory, this is making fuel cells faster than this can make U-235, so, like, this should tend to 0. U-235 being buffered, like, over time. Oh, these aren't correctly bridged. There we go. Now I should be able to turn off including crafting. 11, 4 there, 7 there is 11, yes. All right. Which means this wants to run. Oh, I need to actually hook this up to its checkmark box, but that's a different issue. Output the checkmark, our standard command to run. Enable when checkmark is greater than 0. Cool. So now this wants yellow cake. It wants to run because it's like, hey. Well, for a couple of reasons, right? In this case, there we go. That should work. Although, honestly, if they both equal 0, it'll just run one more time. So this is fine. If we were sitting at almost exactly this state, except we had 12 U235 and 12 U238, we wouldn't... You know what? We'll just add another condition. If... And this one can be an and. If our 238 is less than... How much do we need for a craft? 15. And 235 is greater than 0. Yeah. And what that says is we have some 235, but we need more 238 to burn through it. I think this is all the right conditions. There's probably more edge cases, but in theory, this should stop production when fuel cells are done, but still try not to waste any U235. It'll keep running the particle accelerator to try to get enough U235. We're still going to have wasted U238. We can't avoid that just because of how this system works. What do we need for more yellow cake? Is it just time? Yeah, I guess just time. Alright. Well, I could probably play with this some more, but I think it's, as good as it's going to get to try not to waste any U235. This is all still waiting on... Yeah, peroxide as expected. Which I'm sure is the usual situation. No, we're still blocked on... Oh, it's the ammonia situation. Right. Alright, that should be slowly trying to turn itself back on, except this does not have cyanic. And I swear if cyanic doesn't have ammonia, I am going to scream, because... Okay, cyanic does have ammonia. Cyanic doesn't have methane. Methane doesn't have fertilizer. And fertilizer... is running. We might just slowly be waiting for fertilizer to catch up. if I'm being entirely honest. Why do I have so many stacks of ash? Like, I know this uses a lot of ash, but ash stacks so high. That feels like a silly request. Here, let's not do that. We should be getting more... Really, we should do more seaweed, because seaweed stacks so low. And so we should really do this. Yeah, okay, and this is going to get more seaweed already. So hopefully fertilizer and seaweed are going to get themselves running again. I think there's going to be a couple iterations of just like all of the fertilizer we make going right to seaweed initially while it bootstraps itself. But it does look like we are making lots of seaweed again. So that is good to see. And all of the things that demand seaweed should be slowly, like, recovering at this point. Now what's broken? Biomass. Interesting. Why is biomass running low? What's our request thresholds set to here? Let's set this higher, so this will try to bring in more biomass and buffer a little bit more, because we are pulling out like a full belt of biomass. But also... hopefully we're not just like running out of biomass. No, this one. Biomass. I mean, we do have a lot of random biomass around the base. Demand is definitely on the higher side. We probably need to change this to be an actual void so that it doesn't run when it doesn't need to. Because right now it's just a low priority requester, so we're always running it. Which means there's going to be times where, like, some stations are going to request and they're just going to sit and wait for it because this drained them all because it's not set up as a proper void. Alright, this is a lot of stations to fix, though. Like, everything that provides... biomass needs to be fixed if I want to do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 stations? Plus whatever's going on here. Ah, I had turned off the requests here. Why did I do that? I don't remember why I did that. Here, we'll set this as a lower priority for blood than the other void up here. Because I think I fixed my urea blockage, so we probably want this to be running for most of our blood voiding, and like only if this gets really screwed up, then we run this one. So I think we fixed this with a priority here. I think I had turned this off because it was like sucking down all of my bones or something like that. And we still don't want it to suck down all of my bones. But by making this like the fallback blood void, I think we can fix that just with some priority shenanigans. All right. We are out of aramid still. Did I fix whatever was broken with aramid? I remember aramid being broken before. Titanium. We didn't really fix titanium, right? We kind of half-assed fixing titanium. Yeah. Although this looks like it just turned on. Oh no, this just runs in bursts, I think. So yeah, titanium is still a... still an issue. So we do have to go full molten titanium eventually. I was trying to avoid those extra processing steps because there's some stuff that we don't even make yet, I think, involved in them. But we might have to do that. Alas. That could be something we could work on today while we're kind of waiting for everything else to figure itself out. Because what was vanadium blocked on? Oh, ammonia. Okay, we did finally get ammonia. So that means that cyanic acid finally got methane, which means that fertilizer might be coming back to life again. Kinda, sorta, not really. Not really. We're still running very low on... Yeah. Still running low on fertilizer. And this, once again, is lacking biomass. Okay. So yeah, I think I do want to do this. I'm going to change this to a V. And then all of these places that provide... Oh, this is going to stink. That's a lot of stations that provide biomass. All right, we got to go through all of these and get them all set up to be able to overflow. Do I have the combinators that I need for that? Probably not. What does that look like? What does my overflow logic look like? I don't remember what combinators I actually use in that. I just copy and paste it everywhere. Let's find here. That is a standard constant combinator and a decider combinator. Okay. So if we have 17 things to do, then we will take constant combinators up to 20. Oh, these stack to 50. Let's take a stack of them as my request. I don't know why I have less than a stack as my requests for anything. Probably because I was trying to keep the mall demand lower when I first set up these requests, but like, whatever. Or I copied it from train stops, which do have a stack size of 10. That's a possibility too. All right, let's head up to the mall. Let's grab all these combinators, and then we got to start fixing biomass outputs so that they overflow correctly to the new void. And that should just keep us from turning biomass into ash when we don't need to. And hopefully that'll be enough to keep our other things that require biomass running continuously. If not, we might have to find some new ways to make biomass intentionally. Alright, let the bots bring everything we need here. Let's just poke around, see what different things are blocked on. Paraline is running. Oh, I never hooked up this third machine. Oops. So we will want to get that hooked up. But that's apparently not the blocking factor here. No, it's the organic acid anhydride, which is still blocked on fatty acids, and I think fatty acids are still blocked on oleochemicals. Yeah. And oleochemicals are blocked on lard. Blocked on lard. Yep. So yeah, lard is still just causing us lots of issues. We could potentially start doing more... Well, we could definitely still do more augs. I think we still make more augs than we're slaughtering, so we can absolutely do that. The other thing to think about maybe slaughtering is muckmocks, because those do make quite a bit of lard, although I don't know... They are more expensive than an aug, right? So I'm not sure if we necessarily want to go crazy there with making a bunch of them just to slaughter them, but we certainly could. And we also, whenever we have trits, of course, they get slaughtered immediately and turned into lard, potentially. So that is the other thing. Make sure my trits are running, and they are. Okay. Trits are just slow. Trits are always slow. Oh good, a train is stuck. Is this a... Why is there jerky in my Navens? Oh, because they get fed guts. Yeah. Did I just not filter out the... Oh, I don't filter out any of the jerky that can come out of these machines. Okay. That's my bad. We have to go fix that. But our inventory's full. Let's go fix Navens first. And then we'll go around, and any place that we make biomass, we will have to go fix our provider stations there. There we go. That should do the trick. That way, anything that decays inside these machines will end up removed as well from the system. Just a mist filter splitter. Okay. Let's do this with factory search. Look in storage for biomass. Sort by distance. And we'll start with the closest ones. That is a input. That is an input. That is an input. That is an input. Input. Output. There we go. There's our first output. Where's that one? That is over raw fiber way. Okay. And you need to be... Here, let's copy and paste this from somewhere. What does biomass stack to? 100, so bigger than 10K? That's right, right? Yeah, because each row would be 1,000. Yeah. Input. That looks like an output. That is snuck in over at logs. Like I said, we have like 15 of these to do, so gonna take a second to find them all. That is an output up at Yotoy. All right. Okay. Oh, nope. Unfortunately, I can't seem to keep the... Can I pin this? There we go. Down there. Okay. Is there anything else kind of up this way? That's an input. That's an output at biocrud to biomass. All right. So yeah, let's go to this one first then, and then we'll fix biocrud to biomass. And everything else should be like further into the base. I sorted this by distance when I was like way in one corner of the base, so they should kind of all be vaguely in the same direction. Although they'll kind of be fanning out. They're not all necessarily going to be nicely organized for us. And then we can double check in the CyberSyn manager when we are... All right, this one's over biocrud to biomass. Just did that. This one is an input. This one is just a random box of biomass that I have sitting around somewhere. Cool. That looks like an output. That is over at Pure Sand. All right. And Twitch is also telling me that it is ad break o'clock. I do run just one ad break an hour, just long enough to keep pre-roll ads turned off. So we will, I'll just keep working on this while the ad break is running. I don't think this is particularly exciting content. And I'll see everybody in just a few minutes when the ads are over. What's this? This is... Oh, from Brock's? That's a weird output. And yeah, as I suspected, because of how we, started this from one corner, like, the radius is constantly increasing, but the... things are not necessarily, like, in a row. So we're kind of zigzagging across the base. I probably could have tried to plot a more efficient route, but whatever. Because, yeah, like, filtration media is way down there. And we're currently way up here. But I think unless I want to write my own search algorithm that can figure out the actual, like, distance between things and... we'll be fine. That is also an output at nitrogen. All right. This one is also an output. That's an input. That's an input. That's an output. All right. Oh, that's way up at science. All right. Let's go up to science then. A lot of these biomass provider stations are just spoilage of native flora. Yeah, this one certainly is. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for hanging around through the ad break. That's an input. That's an output. Where are we going? Oh, right over there. I think we're almost done with all of these biomass stations. Biomass, I think, is the last, like, major exists everywhere all the time product that is doing this just low priority sync as a void and doesn't have, like, overflow logic. Obviously, biomass was one of the first things that we set up a void for. So it's got some weirdness in its configuration. but we'll be, caught up on that soon. Let's see, ethanol is here. That's an input. That's an output. Oh, up at biosamples. Okay. Again, the factory search just does distance as the crow flies, so everything's kind of in a radius from where we started, and even though we started in one corner of the base, we kind of end up at some zigzagging. But we're so close to done here. All right, biosamples. Yep, biomass output. That's an input. That's an input. That's apparently our last output. That's going to be, I think, the one over at where we do fish food. Yes. All right, now we double check in Cybersyn and we find out that we missed some, I'm sure. We missed one, actually, is all we missed. Okay. Dredge, where are you? Oh no, that's this one. It just hasn't updated yet. There it goes. So Cybersyn says we got them all. Cool. And yeah, nothing's overflowing, so everything is just a network only. Everything's high priority, because biomass is always a byproduct, so everything's priority 1, and that's fine. The stations that make fertilizer are probably both... That one's a high priority station. This one's not. I should probably make this priority 1 for everything, huh? Because if fertilizer stops, then, like, everything stops. Yeah, we'll do 2, actually. Fertilizer is just like a keep fertilizer fed at all times. I think that's the right thing to do. And I think a lot of our fertilizer being empty is because we're like rebuffering a bunch of new plants, and I'm hoping that it'll like stabilize. We just have to keep it fed until it has time to like back up and buffer and everything, right? If it doesn't stabilize, if it can't keep up with our current demand for AL stuff, then we're going to have to evaluate our choices and figure out kind of the best way to fix it. But I'm hopeful with like this now set as a void, we're not going to be pulling anything there. Yeah, and this is getting priority on biomass, because our other biomass requests aren't as, like, fundamental as fertilizer, right? That's the void. This is... What is this? Fish, yeah, I mean, obviously we don't want things like fish to stop. This is probably like fungal substrate. Why is there biomass in this? I have no idea why there's biomass in this station. That's weird. This one too? Has a little bit of biomass. Weird. So all that stuff is... Well, whatever. Those aren't actual biomass stations. This is... I don't even know. Methane. Okay. This is gonna be, like, Bakelite? Yeah. So yeah, our biomass is, like, empty, which is just weird and wild to see. I mean, as long as fiber is running, we're gonna be making some. And then the other part is this, right? This is supposed to be voiding biocrud to biomass, and apparently we just don't have a lot of biocrud? Which also kind of surprises me. But maybe that's just, What is this that takes coke, biocrud, and fiber? Oh, hot air. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure a chunk of our biocrud for a while was just decaying lard, and now we cannot make enough lard. So that would have really reduced our overall biocrud in the system. Like, hot air, maybe I should have making its own biocrud, just like I do for power. That is certainly an option. Something we could think about doing. Yeah, because lard is still our, like, bottleneck. We did get a delivery of lard somewhere, at least. Not to here, though. Not to science, either. Where is... Ah, etching fluid. Interesting. I guess that shouldn't surprise me that etching solution has some demand, since, like... Yeah? We're going through so much silicon, right? We're going through silicon as fast as we can. Although we still don't have whatever it is, aramids, and I'm assuming that's still blocked on... Oh, now it's blocked on titanium and molybdenum. Cool. Molybdenum is... running all the way down, all the way through its process. What is pulling all of my molybdenum, though? I only have a couple of places that demand molybdenum. One of them is that, and one of them is this. Drunken Dragon. Ah, one of our new special alloys. Okay. And I'm assuming that's an atrocious ratio. Yeah, 5 to 2. Once this finishes buffering, our molybdenum hopefully will catch up again. I'm guessing most of our molybdenum has been going here. I mean, same here with titanium, right? 10 titanium goes into 2 of these. So once this finishes buffering itself, to get 12 stacks of this is 60 stacks of titanium. Like, that's stupid. So yeah, once these finish buffering, our molybdenum and our titanium might end up in better shape, which would be cool to see. Vatbrain cartridges are running. Yeah. Besides the base spiking to too many gigawatts. Do we have both particle accelerators running? Is that our problem? Where's Nexalite batteries? No, you're not running. It's just the one over here, huh? Yeah, because this will eventually turn on, but I'm assuming we still have not gotten our delivery of hydrogen peroxide here. Which we have not. Is vanadium pentoxide running now consistently? It is. Oh, and we have lots of arthropod blood, because this was jammed up on other things for a little while. So this is running, other than our, like, power situation. So that's good to see. And so yeah, this is the only yeah, and this is just running until we catch up on uranium fuel cells, which is gonna be a hot second, because they gotta back up all the way along this belt and into this. But the goal, hopefully I did this right, and we'll check this when this eventually does catch up on uranium fuel cells. But what I want to see is this, when this system turns off, there should be no U-235, and we should only be wasting U-238. That is the hope. And some of the U-238 already wants to start decaying, which is super cool. This is... Oh, a bunch is already uranium oxide. And also, I missed a filter on an inserter. Alright, let's go fix that filter on that inserter and restack that. Because ultimately we have no use for the uranium oxides right now. So we want to only be putting ash onto the rails. We can eventually put uranium oxide on rails if it makes sense. It might make more sense to do the reprocessing on site. But for now, we definitely do not have a use for uranium oxide. So I don't know how I missed that. Oh, I do know how I missed this filter. This was the one that had a tree in the way. I wonder if this is going to be big enough for how long these take to decay. We'll find out. It's also interesting that, like, at our current rate of production, with U-238 decaying in, you know, a certain amount of time, I I don't think we're ever going to get a train load of it. We can get maybe a couple stacks at a time. Not that we are going to need U-238 for a lot, but as far as being able to do anything useful with uranium oxide, nuclear power stage 2 gives us this, this recipe. Oh, and that's it. That is the only recipe. And then that gives us a whole bunch of these random uranium isotopes that we have to figure out what to do things with. And it looks like we can't do anything with them until nuclear power stage 4. So, like, we'd pull out the 235 and everything else. Oh, no, we could do some neutron capture early on. Cool. So yeah, we'll be able to do some things with the uranium oxide chain, but that's not until, yeah, prod. So we've got a ways to go before we get to this. That is for sure. Science is halted. Science is almost certainly halted because lard, because that's been what's halting everything in my base. Yeah, we're missing Logi science packs, and those are on lard. Yep. How many of these guys do I have right now? 12. Alright, let's take a look in YAFC about our large situation. So if we check our AUG rendering and our AUGs, we make 0.7 AUGs a second. Oh, and we're rendering 0. No, to render 0.7 of them is 21 slaughterhouses. Okay. So with 9 more slaughterhouses, we could be, and according to this, that, like, exactly fills a belt, pretty much. So let's just get 9 more slaughterhouses and get this wired in. I think that is the way to do it. Or maybe 10 more and do it as, like, 22, but... Alright, let me go, where am I? Let's just put this to the max. Let's fully saturate our AUGs, and then we can also look into muckmocks as a lard source. I've said this a few times. I see that they make a lot of lard. I just need to do the math on, given their inputs, is it better to do muckmocks or is it better to scale AUGs further? Because, like, we haven't even done AUG food yet. So if we upgraded our AUGs to do food, we could almost certainly... And we could go beyond that, right? We could go all the way up to recipe 3. And our current scale was how many machines in our og farm? Ranch. 20 of those and 4 of those, and the ratios are going to be different. But yeah, if we just want to keep the 4 repro complexes that we currently have, that would be a significant boost in the number of ALKs we make. Have to look at our moss. 33 moss machines. What's the moss on these guys right now? Oh, I'm delivering it. Okay. We fixed that. This does not make moss on site anymore. Good to know. And then, yeah, 10 native flora mines. That's probably more than are currently feeding it. Nope, there's currently 10 native flora mines feeding it. Okay. So yeah, we could push it all the way to this. We'd have to get og food and bedding in. But like if we were then wanting to render like -2 a second, like the problem is that that's just so many slaughterhouses. That's way more slaughterhouses than we want to deal with. So we'll keep it to this for now. We'll keep it on our keep it on here. And then when we do need to upgrade this, we can upgrade it a lot. It's a bunch of new ingredients and it's a big refactor to the build, so avoiding it for now. I think especially until we can get Slaughterhouse 2s. Yeah, Slaughterhouse 1, crafting speed is 1. Slaughterhouse 2's crafting speed is... Okay, it is just crafting speed 2. So that doesn't necessarily... We can double our throughput, but also we need red belts if we're going to do that, right? Because, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. We're pretty close to saturating a belt here with just our 0.7 ogs a second, so we'd have to upgrade our output belt if we want to do that. And all of that is a pain. I do have red belts researched, but we're not crafting them yet. Alright, how many of these do we have here? 12. $13, $14, $15, $16. Oops. 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh, 2122, my bad. And then we want to change this so it's after like 11 of these. 9, 10, 11. All right. So we do it there. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Switch belt sides. Yes. Fix that connection. I might need more cages in the loop. This says one machine is fine. But yeah, I might just need more cages in the loop. What do I need? Iron sticks, titanium rods, and solder. Titanium rods? Titanium plates. There is no such thing as a titanium rod. Where can I grab such things near here? There's some iron. Actually, pretty much everything should be available at, mechanical parts, right? We should be throwing a little of everything in here. Except maybe solder. Oh, nope, solder too. All right, bunch more cages. Just handcraft those. Because, yeah, these all down at the end are not turning on, which probably means we're not pushing enough cages through. Getting more of these going should also help a little bit with our bone and meat issues. Oh, I turned this one off. Okay. I was trying to figure out how this was all properly configured for the, signaling, but it turns out that I turn it all the way off at the cage machine. So these just run to completion when OGs want to be shut down. Power is still atrocious. We're definitely limping along here, hoping we get what we need before the base falls over completely. It does not feel great, but yeah, hopefully having more of these running will help with our with some of our bottlenecks related to AL things. There we go. Everything looks like it's really turning on now. All the machines are able to empty themselves. That's good to see, although they're not running full speed, right? So, with our power flickering this badly. Yeah, it's the particle accelerators flickering on and off. Even without the particle accelerators, it feels like we're hardly maintaining. It's not great. This might end up needing to be a bigger warehouse or multiple warehouses, depending on our overall rate of uranium oxide production and how long it takes to decay. The train unexpectedly returned to the depot warning is usually an indicator that I don't have enough depot space, and that appears to be the case. All of my depots are very full. Yeah, trains are queuing up for the depots. Which means that, things are stabilized and it's not currently making a lot of deliveries, and that worries me because there's a lot that should still be happening. Yeah, antimony is just stopped. We're out of plastic bars. Why? I mean, we're making plastic. Is our demand for plastic just that? Bananas? That's antimony. I don't know what this is, but it needs plastic. That looks like a science pack. That needs plastic. Uh-oh, and we're out of Cermet, too. Alright, what are you that needs plastic? Oh, utility boxes. Interesting. Sure, I believe that one. Why is Cermet broken? Lubricant. Interesting. I'm not sure why lubricant ever would have been an issue. Yeah, I mean, we're producing it steadily. Is it just that we make it much more slowly than we consume it? That makes 10 a second. Surmet will use... Oh. Yeah. Yeah. So we'll use like 200 a second. And like, I know that that build doesn't need to run continuously. We make a lot more of that than we necessarily consume, but like... That's definitely a, well, there's your problem sort of situation. I mean, we could add a bunch more of these. Biofactories doing lubricant. That's not... They each only use 0.5 ash a second, right? So... If I wanted to make like 10 of them, or even 30 of them, and consume a full belt of ash... Although that would be 300 fish oil a second, which is probably more fish oil than I make. Yeah, we make like 20 fish oil a second. So we really can't actually make that much more lubricant, at least not with the fish oil method. Oh, yeah, the other one is oleochemicals, which I'm always out of. So we really need desulfurization. And then we can do this, like, aromatics to lubricant recipe. And this is another early blue tech. Oh, and this, like, sulfur and water-to-water recipe, this just voids sulfur. Why would I do that? Am I really going to have that much sulfur that that's going to be something I want to do? Well, we're not even 2 hours into the stream, and I can already feel my voice is starting to go a little bit, so... We might not have much longer to go before I decide to call it quits. Just a heads up. So yeah, we do have more lard going, at least. It's gonna take, well, actually, this should all be running pretty continuously now. Yeah, these guys are all running. We are... I mean, I do see more lard coming through. It's still a trickle, but it is more lard. It's interesting that it's not, like, evenly balanced between the two halves of the belt, because I thought that it would be. Oh, no it's not, because these machines aren't hooked up to blood. Oops, where am I? Oh, I'm here. At least it's an easy fix. other thing I might want to do is... No, let's not even do that. I was debating whether I wanted to turn this input belt into a sushi belt. I don't think I have to. Alright, that does loop all the way around now. All of these have managed to drain their blood, and they are all running. Okay. But yeah, I was thinking in my head whether I wanted to turn this into a sushi belt so that when this turns off, like, the caged augs kind of keep looping. And you know what? I'm going to do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's see. Input priority right, output priority left, filtered to a deconstruction planner. Cool. So now these should just, like, cycle. And, of course, we need power. And these ones don't need signal on them. Happy Catterday, Starfighter. Okay, is this right now? Looks like the pipe does loop all the way around like it's supposed to. The input sushi belt is sushi belting. Oh, let's do that. We must be this close to winning pie. I'm assuming when you say this close, you're holding your arms very far apart. Oh. At most another 3 months of game time. Yeah, something like that. We're coming up on a year on this save. Actually, let me check that. What's the date on the first save? December 9th is the first save that's dated. I'll have to check the... I don't know if this save that doesn't have a date is actually this world, or if this was a test save. But certainly, this is the earliest dated save. So we're coming up on a year. Real soon now. see if we might need more cages in the loop if we're going to run this as a sushi belt, just because there's more area that needs to be covered. Here, let me go grab a little bit more iron plate, and we can just handcraft some more cages. And I really do not expect this to, like, fully solve our lard problems. This is just, again, more Band-Aid fixes. It's not quite going to double our lard throughput, but it's definitely all of our current AUG capacity now being taken care of, which is nice. Hopefully the AUG build can actually run at full capacity for any length of time, and we don't run into issues there. Alright, hopefully now we're going to have enough cages. We'll see if it can keep enough cages in the loop to keep everything fed. Because what I'm worried about is, like, one of these is going to be done before it can get another cage, like, over to it. So we have to have enough cages in the loop that there's kind of always one close at hand. We do have slightly more machines than we have AUG capacity, so we're one extra machine. Because it made splitting across the two halves of the belt easier, although I guess it doesn't matter. I could tear up the last machine. Otherwise, yeah, that's as much as I can do with lard without doing some bigger refactors to the base, ultimately, is where we're at there. I mean, there's visibly more lard on this belt now, which is a nice sign. And, what else? I really don't know what else to look at. We're still waiting on peroxide. Yeah, I mean, pentoxide is going slowly. That's something that will, I think, fix itself in Blue Science. Yeah. We get this nice recipe to be able to use anthracene oil and sulfuric and a little bit of chromite sand. And this should solve a lot of our woes as far as anthraquinone goes. There's also this 12 coal dust to 1 ash recipe, and I don't know why I would want to do that over 1 coal dust to 1 ash, which is what I'm doing currently in my coal dust void. Like, yes, it doesn't need a cooling tower, but I'm definitely happy to have the extra ash right now, so. Alright, down here we should have anthraquinone running. Yep. It is chugging away, turning pentoxide into anthraquinone. So yeah, hopefully we'll get a delivery of peroxide down here relatively soon. That should be the last ingredient we need for nuclear samples to start up, though. I say should, because, you know. Everything should have... No, we don't have the plutonium peroxide yet. Oh, that's this step. Yeah. That also makes the antimony phosphate 2, which feeds into here. Yeah. And apparently I didn't ghost this for a second machine, but this one's easy enough to do that for as well. Yeah, that looks right. Not that all of these would scale, like, these are all used, all these buildings are used to different percentages in this build, so it would not be a clean scaling of just double everything to increase the build size. It's purely for visuals, so I kind of have a feel for how this build will grow if it needs to grow. And it almost certainly will need to grow at some point, because at some point we're going to need a lot more blue science, right? That's just how things work. So yeah, hydrogen peroxide. The stations that it needs to go to are the usual ones. This is lead acetate, and this is etching solution? Yeah. I suspect... I mean, I don't know. I don't know which of these is going to get peroxide first, to be honest. It would be nice if it would be science or nuclear samples, just so we can see that build turn on and work correctly. But I also would not be surprised if the other stations both get it, because Cybersyn hates me. That's just a fact of life. And then... Yep, we really do just need to see lard deliveries to oleochemicals, and that hopefully will help. And of course, the lard did not go to oleochemicals. Where did lard go, then? Ah, that looks like... Not science, not oleochemicals. It must have been whatever this is. Fish food. It went to fish food. Sure. Alright, Twitch is telling me it is ad break o'clock again, so we will... Oh, dear. I moved a marker. We'll let Twitch run the ad break, and when we come back... I don't know what I'm working on yet. I'll think about it during the ad break, and I'll get back to you. have to figure out which bottlenecks are worth pushing on and which ones we just kind of wait to tech out of once we actually hit blue science. That's really the question. So we gotta make some decisions about what's worth investing in right now. But I'll see everyone in just a few minutes, and we'll figure out what we're doing. Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking around through the break. I'm contemplating titanium, I think, is what I want to work on, because the titanium bottleneck is one we can address with our current technology. We just have to do some further processing of the titanium steps. So it's everything from, like, we're doing it up to here, and we're currently just cooking the titanium grade 4. So we just have to do the rest. We have to draw the rest of the owl. And, most of these inputs are fine. Heavy oil, hot air, sand castings. Obviously, we just do water on site. Sulfuric acid, limestone, also on site. Yeah. So, I mean, we're going to have some extra outputs. We're going to have a tailings output now. We're going to have iron oxide and raw nexolite that we have to get out. So some new byproducts. That's 3 new stations for byproducts and 1 for fluid. So 4 new stations we have to add to titanium, which is super exciting. And, oh, we need heat. Yeah. No, we're not doing that. I mean, usually for these things, I just say fiber, right? Yeah. Yep, that's not a ton of fuel for a few of these foundries. And then the MIBC input is petroleum gas and acetone and copper plate. I'm a little bit concerned about petroleum gas. Because, like, how much do we make? We make, like, 1.5 a second here. Yeah, we only make, like, 10 a second. And according to this, we need, like, 40 a second to be able to run titanium at full speed. I think even if this runs at 1/4 speed, that's 5 a second. Versus what? How do I do this without... I'm trying to think about... If I just do titanium plate here... Oh, it will decide to output it here. Okay. 3.77 a second versus a quarter of... I mean, we'd still probably get up to like 5 a second. So, even with our limited petroleum gas at the moment, that would still run. Although bitumen processing probably doesn't run that often anymore, because we're probably converting our bitumen to other things. But yeah, this runs. It's shoved into here. Oh, we're using petroleum gas as a fuel every once in a while. That's where it goes. That's the only thing we're doing with it. Okay. And then on this side, wherever we're doing, like, crude oil, this also has an output for petroleum gas that probably also is just being used as a fuel. Yeah. Okay. So we potentially will need to not use petroleum gas as a fuel anymore, and that's probably fine. Last time I checked, we were doing okay on the fuel situation. Yeah, we have a lot of fuel. So petroleum gas should stay the... oh, what I need to do is I need to do the same thing that I do with other dual-use things that are fuels. Which is we set our fuel threshold. Let me see if I can show where I do this somewhere. Let me find some place that we make, like, gasoline. Tar processing, here we go. Yeah. We set the threshold to 50K before we're willing to put it, like, the fuel on the network. And what that says is basically ensure that even if we take a train load as a liquid fuel, there's still at least a train load available for its use as a non-fuel. But for things that are just fuels, that threshold is 25K, which is use it whenever it's available. So, for the petroleum gas, we're going to switch that threshold to 50K. And that way it will no longer advertise itself as a fuel. And then I think we just have to set up the MIBC build and upgrade the titanium build itself. Let's grab all the buildings we need for this. Oh, this is going to be annoying. Let me see if I can do something here. I make this a nested table. And I do all of this. Water pumping, bring in your own limestone. And heat. I think I can... Yes, I can shopping list just the nested table. Ah, I love Yafsy. Cool. And then I can unpack the nested table when we're done. But that should do what we need to do. So let's import that blueprint. Let's call this group Titanium. Cool. Let's go get the titanium build upgrade. Oh, and for the MIBC, it's just a mixer. Okay. Let's add a mixer as well. We'll do 2 of them. We'll do the build twice as big as it needs to be. It will suck down all of our petroleum gas as quickly as it can, but that's fine. MIBC is also used for Chem Science era tin, and we are really running into the limits of these cloverleaf interchanges, aren't we? Like, I know cloverleaves are bad and all, but... I probably should put, like, signals halfway around the cloverleafs. That might help with, like, trains waiting earlier than they need to be to get through. Because, yeah, you end up in situations like this, where as soon as this train enters here, it claims this rail segment, and then a train here might stop when it could have been allowed to go through, and then this train goes behind it. I should have thought of that more when I did that original design. I don't really feel like fixing it now. Oh, we don't have jig concentrators. All right, let's get those on the... Whoops. Please don't need anything awful. Please don't need anything awful. Please don't need anything awful. It does not need anything... I mean, it needs an assembler too. Yikes. But it doesn't really need anything awful. All right. We gotta wait for 2 of those, so... That'll take a second for the bots to provide everything and for the inserter to get it all loaded up. All right. The bots are bringing... There we go. New stuff coming, finally. As soon as all of the components are here, this will run very quickly. Just waiting for small parts, basically? Yes, just waiting for small parts to show up. Which should be soon. The small parts are like the furthest away on the Logi network, so... Yeah, there we go. I see small parts robots. One. Come on, bots. You can do it. I have faith in you. And these don't have any weird inputs, so I don't see any reason to restrict the number of them that we make artificially small. Because it's a machine that we are potentially going to need to build a bunch of, depending on the scale of ore processing for different ores. So I'm happy to let it go. And that is everything we needed. Cool. I guess we should do the MIBC first before we upgrade the titanium so the MIBC is actually available. MIBC is just 3 stations. Yes, copper in, acetone and petroleum gas in, and the MIBC out. So that is just 3 stations. That's nice and easy. I guess I can do it. I've got 3 stations available right here. Let's do it there. That is as good a spot as any. And then we'll head down and we will upgrade titanium. And with the bottleneck on petroleum gas, our actual titanium throughput is still only going to be like 4 or 5 a second. Like, this is not going to be a huge upgrade until we get more petroleum gas going. But I feel like I probably should be doing a lot more, like, oil processing. Like, this is not a very big oil processing build in the grand scheme of things, right? And that's probably... And also, the whole thing's halted. What's our main output of this that's not considered, like, secondary? Is it coke oven gas? No. Is it petroleum gas? No. What are we blocked on? High distillates, okay. Which turn into oh, naphtha's probably the thing that I consider the main output. Yep. Yeah. I mean, naphtha to tall oil might be a good one to be running. Or more oil sands. I think I do use it for oil sands extraction. Syngas, maybe. And then this is nuclear power 1. We're going to need naphtha for stuff there. Ooh, light oil processing 3. Just decay naphtha right into hydrogen. Anywho, options. For now, we're not going to worry about any of that. acetone, right? Acetone and petroleum gas, yeah. All right. That is our fluid inputs. And then our solid is just a copper drop-off. And yeah, it's just a very small amount of copper feeding into our mixers, so. All right, there's our fluids, copper in there, and then the output, I just need to route to a fluid pickup station. All right, that should get all of its fluids. This should have a copper delivery on the way already. Yes. I would like to see the build turn on before I leave, just to make sure I didn't do anything really, really stupid with it. I think now that these guys can grab 2 with each rotation, 1 yellow inserter is fine for 1.25 items a second. Alright, acetone, first load in, no problemo there. Acetone into these guys, yes and yes. Alright, and the next one is gonna be the petroleum gas, so we should see this turn on in just a second. Running. Good. Good. Oh, station needs power. Alright, that looks good. I think that's running fine. Time to head over to where titanium is and get that rebuild going. We have plenty of space where titanium is currently set up, so I don't think it'll be much of an issue to expand it. This may not have been the optimal route to take, but that's okay. Do I have space to finally, like, clean up this garbage chest? I do. Look at that. Okay. So... basically, we start here, right? We start with... well... we also need to fix this. Oh, this station was only requesting gasoline. Interesting. This was hard-coded to... this titanium build is so old that it hard-coded gasoline. Oops. I never even noticed that. Regardless, I need to make a little space here. So this processing stage needs to go away. Honestly, this one too. Everything from, like, here. That output, okay. And we're gonna... oh, shoot. Don't request. We need to reprogram this station because we have 3 fluids coming in and none of them are gasoline. Alright, I think I caught it in time. So we're gonna have sulfuric acid. We're gonna have the MIBC. And we're gonna need heavy oil. Alright. So now we should be able to take this. We're gonna skip the rejects. We need to do the titanium grade 3, right? Because this outputs... what do you output? Titanium grade 3 and titanium rejects. Okay. And then we need to process into titanium grade 4. Sorry. We're processing it into grade 4, so we start with the grade 3. And then the rejects will need to go somewhere else, because we're going to get more rejects from further processing steps, so we're going to have to reposition those. To make the grade 4, it's 4 ball mills. All right. I only have 3 ball mills. What? How do I only have 3 ball mills? Has this just always been wrong? Did I grab the wrong number of ball mills when I upgraded this the first time? .27 ball mills. Huh. Okay. Oops. So we may not have been running this at full capacity, because apparently I don't have enough ball mills. So we're going to put down 4 of those, and I'm going to have to grab another ball mill. So each of these guys takes in 0.5 a second and spits out... And it's going to spit out 0.25 a second, which can also be 1 inserter. Okay. And this is where we just need to move over a little bit to make room for... because we have to route all of our fluids out of here. So we go into 2 jig concentrators from here. Which are going to do powdered titanium. Yes. Oh, these have 2 fluid inputs and 2 fluid outputs, as well as... okay. We're going to have to use long-handed inserters here. Okay. And then it's going to be pretty similar on the output, I think. Just pointed the other way. We're going to want to do, like, output there, and there's our belts. Back around, and then we got to route these 2 outputs. All right. So one of those is fluid pickup, the tailings output. That is a byproduct. Let me grab oh, and it... does tailings ever have a void station? Like, do I overflow tailings? Don't see any V networks on tailings. So the answer appears to be no. So let's just flag that as a high priority then. So that'll be the tailings out. And then this titanium pulp stage 3 will need to be turned into something at some point. Purified titanium pulp. Yeah. Okay. But the output, the powdered titanium, needs to go through 4 automated screeners, which is just another separation stage. And then into a couple of our first advanced foundries. Okay. So, automated screeners, and we'll line up, I guess, here. Titanium enriched dust. Low input amounts again. Why do I feel like I'm missing a step? Oh, I see. It's the titanium rejects processing that made the gravel. That's why I can't find where that comes from. All right. That's fine, as long as I can re-inject the titanium rejects processing back up there. We'll deal with that later. Okay. So this outputs a bunch more stuff. We want to keep the, what is this? Titanium enriched dust. And this side is rejects, which will, we will have to bring kind of down there. This is not fully hooked up yet, so we're not expecting it necessarily to work, although we are really snug around these guys. This piping is gonna stink. Alright, let's see if we can figure it out. How's that for a disaster of a piping job? But it should get the, oh, let's actually get our requests in here. That would help. MIBC, heavy oil, and sulfuric acid. Alright, so this step will take the powdered titanium. We'll end up with more rejects. The rejects are going to keep going all along that belt, because we have one more step that's going to give us rejects. But we need, alongside this titanium enriched dust, that's going to feed into a couple of our foundries. Along with heavy oil, and we'll need to bring in the limestone. And then heat will come in along the bottom, and sure, the output will be in the middle. That's fine. So the heavy oil will come in the top. That works totally reasonably. Our input is like 1.25 items a second. Should be fine with yellow inserters now that they take 2 things at a time. And if it's not, we'll upgrade it. This needs to be appropriately routed for the heavy oil. Heavy oil in. Heat pipes need to be handled. And then I need to figure out where we are going to request the fiber and get the fiber routed over to this burner, which is fine. And then our output is here. There we go. The other side of our output is this stuff, the titanium pulp stage 3, that we are going to need to bring down and process into purified titanium pulp. And then we'll get more titanium rejects out of that, and those will merge with this belt. Ooh, MIBC first. Okay. Let's get water hooked up to this system. That's a plan. Oh no, that's not what I meant to do. We do need an underground here, just to avoid connecting the wrong things. Ooh, and we don't really have space for undergrounds here, because this has to come through. Yeah, this is a disaster of a plumbing job. There we go. I don't love it, but it works. Yeah, and these are going to start turning on. Okay. The spaghetti is real. This area was obviously not intended for this build initially, and we're kind of grafting it in. So everything is really too close to the stations. I should move everything further over, but that would be doing it correctly, and why would I want to do that when I can do it incorrectly? Alright, and then this is blocked on this long belt of rejects right now, so that is our next thing to fix, is we gotta pull down this belt, or pipe, to one leaching station. Doing purified titanium whatevers. And this also needs a sulfuric acid input, which is at the bottom for some reason. Cool. And then the overflow waste, which is this side, goes into an evaporator to make titanium rejects. Yay. So this belt of rejects continues along, and it will merge with the output of this guy. And all of the rejects get fed into 4 secondary crushers, of which I only have... Oh, that's why all of this is different ratios. It's because we're looping more rejects back through. Ah, okay. So we also don't have enough secondary crushers. We're going to need a couple more secondary crushers. I didn't think that the earlier steps were going to need more, but because we cycle things through, we are going to need a couple more things in the earlier steps. All right, so secondary crushers. Gonna have to find a new home for that radar. This whole belt for gravel is going to come in from a different direction now. Because we're doing this processing down here, so the gravel belt will come up this way. Input to these is 0.33. Okay, this is just gray inserters. Okay, and then I think for this output, I'm gonna run the whole thing over here, and we can split it so that the gravel goes here, and then, well, where the gravel belt previously was, we need to bring in more, or the rest of this, whatever grade of titanium this is, the grade 3. So this will all come through here. Across here, up here. Oop. Can I have my... Thank you. Here. We'll output the gravel. And then the titanium ore will come back around this way. I'm not sure why this is a splitter. This isn't filtering anything. Should that just be that? Alright, but that should be all of that part done. So that just leaves as far as our outputs, and I guess the plates are not coming in this way, are they? So let's take that belt out too. We gotta take the purified titanium pulp out. which will come right down here for yet more processing stages. Alright, so the purified titanium pulp feeds into an evaporator to make high-grade titanium, and then that feeds into a solid separator to do some other stuff. Alright. So we're going to have an evaporator here making high-grade titanium. That outputs 0.25 a second. Again, we're just always leaving room to expand each of these phases horizontally, right? So we're not doing any weird direct insertion because the ratios aren't really 1-to-1, even though there's only one of each building. And then the solid separator here gets That's so weird. Oh, because I'm looking at the wrong things. They are 1-to-1. These particular ones are 1-to-1. Sorry. I was looking at this other evaporator recipe that makes titanium rejects from the overflow waste, and I was like, this shows that those aren't in ratio. Why am I seeing them as in ratio in-game? And it's because these ones are actually ratioed. But let's power that. Let's get our output. And then we got to do a couple of splitters on this. We're going to split out iron oxide. And we're going to split out the raw nexolite. Yeah. And then the remaining titanium stuff one more burner as well, because we need heat in two places, right? We have heat up here, but we're also going to need it down below. And then we got to figure out how we're routing in what am I trying to say? We got to figure out how we're routing in limestone to all these spots as well. But I think if we kind of just take this and drop it like here, which is not quite right. Alright, we gotta get the heavy oil down there, which I did not anticipate. We'll figure it out, though. We're smart. We're good at Factorio. There we go. Heavy oil. So, what is left for us to do here? We need to get more train stations built up because we need to have... we have 2 byproducts here, plus we want to make molten titanium available since we're now doing molten titanium processing. And then our main titanium output is going to need to change. I think I'm actually going to change this to be one of our byproduct outputs. No, it's fine. I'll leave titanium there. But this all needs to go away. I'm glad I have plenty of space to build here. So solid pickup stations. We're gonna have like 1, 2, and then a fluid pickup station. Right there. For our molten titanium. And that's pretty much it. Iron oxide to 1 of them. How much iron oxide do we make? 0.061 a second. Okay. I'm sure the Nexilate output is similar. I don't think either iron oxide... Well, certainly raw Nexilate does not have an overflow. I don't think I have an oxide void. I'll have to double check that. But Twitch is telling me that it is once again ad break o'clock. So we will let Twitch run its ads. I do run just 1 ad break every hour, just long enough to keep pre-roll ads turned off. So I'll see everyone in just a few minutes when we're back from the ads. I recommend getting some water, stretching your legs, take care of yourselves as human beings, and we'll wrap up this titanium build shortly. Welcome back, everybody. I appreciate you sticking around through the break. I stepped away during the ad, and when I came back, I saw we got our nuclear samples. They happened during the ad with the screen turned away, unfortunately, but we're making nuclear samples. We have 5 of them. 6 of them. So that's the last ingredient for chem science, theoretically. Obviously, the base is still very bottlenecked. So trying to jump into actually running chem science is not happening yet. We have things to fix. Especially, I want to get the power situation resolved before we jump into chem science. And that means we need to have enough self-assembly monolayer material to craft the new power plant. Like, that's the blocker for chem science in my book. That being said, nuclear samples, good to see. This titanium fix. Did I try those biocranes? I did not enable those yet. No, I kind of forgot about it. It would probably help with the power situation. But, okay, so we have, what is our current output everything? This needs limestone, and these need limestone. We also need to bring in, fuel for these. I'm actually going to set up a new station, rather than try to bring in the sand castings and the fiber for fuel from other places. We'll just do it. We'll just do it here. We'll bring in a separate station that's close to where we need it. Created the first plutonium-239. Do I get milestones for all the plutoniums or just those ones? Also, why is 239? No, it's 239 specifically. Okay. I assume that's one because of non-hard mode. Like, is this a hard mode makes milestones weird situation? Cool. And we do have some of these doing various neutron capture majigs, so that's good. Which are slow, but should be able to keep up, in theory. Because most of these plutoniums decay on the order of tens to hundreds of hours. 10,000 hours. 400 hours. 100 hours, yeah. So it would be very hard for any of these to actually decay before they're reprocessed. Currently building yourself a biomall for all those occasional bio-related items. Got annoying, but got annoyed doing it jankily. Yeah, I'm still doing a bunch of jank stuff. Anytime I need to bootstrap a new AL critter, I'm running around grabbing things from across the base. What are we bringing in here? Sand castings and fiber. And fiber is not a lot. Fiber first. I'll come... Belt missing under one inserter in the plutonium warehouse. Is there? Oh, yeah. That is just a duplicate inserter, I think. I think that was just a copy and paste error. I can go clean that up. Because I don't know what I would be sending 239 to. Because this... This top recycling recipe doesn't take it. This one does, but this one has... Yeah, both of them. Same here, 239 and 240. So I think it is just a copy and paste error that ended up with an extra inserter. So I will clean that up, but not a big deal. All right, fiber feeds one of these guys. Carl says, I have a separate bot mall for alien life. I do the initial ramp up with bots in the mall and then build a new cell elsewhere with belts once I have all my initial modules, etc. Yeah. I have some of the common AL stuff in the mall, but, like, not enough of it. And then finish Polar Bear. Took like 100 hours to figure out what to do with the train network. I think vanilla train system I built is working now. Finally decided on what storages and tanks to use in station. Readed them like, yeah, I had a couple of iterations on my train stations too. And there's, I think, a couple of things around that still use old stuff, but it's pretty much all on the modern standard now, the blueprints. I respect your patience and your... Oh, nope, that doesn't go there. That doesn't go there. That is a input for limestone. The fiber goes here. Almost screwed myself over there. What was I saying? Oh, I appreciate your patience and resilience going for vanilla trains with pie. That's a that's more effort than I'm willing to go to. Good opportunity to do dynamic train stuff properly. Less room for error with so many different items. Yeah. I think that's probably true. All right, now I just have to figure out how I need to route limestone. Which right now is looking like kind of a that sort of thing. And here. There. This is an absolute spaghetti mess, but you know what? It's gonna get the job done. All right, there's limestone. Is that all that this needs? Yes, this is heating up, so once it gets limestone, it will start making molten. Down here, this is going to need heat too, because we're missing one of the burners. And then all of the molten titanium is coming here, where it will get pumped into these tanks. And then pumped right back out again, honestly. And then this pipe will feed our... Oh, I forgot to add... Well, I forgot to add the casting machines as well to our build. Undergrounds for limestone are wrong. Did I do them backwards? There we go. I forgot to grab casting machines as well. Oops. So we need casting machines. Whatever they're called. Casting units. Oh, and we need hot air, which I did not account for when I crammed everything up close to this. So we're going to have to figure out how to get hot air routed in here, too. That'll be interesting. We'll figure that out in a second. Let's go grab the missing buildings. And we will spaghetti our way into somehow getting hot air hooked up to that station. Yeah, we're probably limited by, apparently, the plutonium peroxide machine is our limiting factor there. Yes. That is going to be, I think, our bottleneck. So everything else is going to run sort of infrequently based on how often that machine runs. And then these guys will just be running in the background, recycling whatever needs to be recycled. How's power holding up? We're actually, briefly, for once, not overloaded, which probably means none of my centrifuge, or not the centrifuges, the particle accelerators are running. Is fine. If we're lucky, we might even start to buffer a little bit of steam, but I don't think we're going to get that lucky. Yeah, we're still basically riding the edge of what is feasible and reasonable. Woohoo! Alright. We mostly got the buildings we need. Let's get out of here. Is it the second row to titanium? Yeah. So it should be this left? It is this left. Okay, and I also do need to put back down this, Okay. So, we need to figure out bringing in hot air here, because I didn't have the casting step in YAFC when I was looking at this. I was only looking at molten. So I think... Can we get it, like, down here? Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. And then... Let's do it a little bit lower even. Let's do it like here. And then bring that pipe through like that. That is some spaghetti, but it'll get the job done for us. We've got our pipe here that will be full of molten stuff as soon as everything else turns on. We're just waiting for temperature, I think. Here and here, we're waiting for temperature? Yep. So... we're gonna have 4 casting units. Cool. And we just have to do the hot air now. And the hot air has to come out of here. Are we low on hot air? Why there's no one? There should have been another train being issued. We are running low on hot air. Wow. All right. Cool. Something else I didn't want to deal with. Sand castings need to go to our machines here. There we go. That should be what we want. And then this sneaks right through here. And each of these just brings in a fairly small number of these. Cool. That is more titanium? Question mark? Yeah, this one's still not heated up. And probably only one of these ones is up to temp. Yeah. So as the other ones get up to temperature, we will our production will ramp up. Why do I have limestone in my always void pile? I guess because it's just trash, right? There's almost never any, Yeah, these guys are running again because this is finally pulling through. Because this is pulling through. Yep, we'll get there. It is all slowly turning itself back on. So I think we're pretty much just waiting for this one to get up to temp and run, but it has all of its ingredients, so we should be good there. Woohoo! And this will be limited at some point by the MIBC. We were able to make a bunch of MIBC because we had a bunch of petroleum gas buffered, so like this will run and it'll make a bunch of titanium, but it will slow down. But we'll still be making like 25% more than we were making before, which is hopefully, well, maybe not enough, but it will help with some of our bottlenecks on titanium. Is the hope. Although, with everything having been stopped for a while I did the rebuild, I imagine the titanium requests are unhappy right now. Apparently also Nexolite plate, which doesn't surprise me. That's been broken for a long time. Yeah, and that's the question that I've been asking myself is, do I upgrade these guys to workers' food? But our bottleneck on lard has me really worried about doing that, right? It's like, I'm pretty sure workers' food uses lard. Yeah, it does. And I'm not convinced that we can afford to spend that lard on anything other than turning into oleochemicals right now. Because we really, really need this self-assembly monolayer to finally produce in some amount of quantity. Like, I've got prod at, I think, every step in that process. Double check all of these steps, actually. Let's just double check. Fatty acids, don't take prod. Organic acid anhydride. Oh, can take prod. Okay. Maybe we should drop prod into this and drop in another mixer then. And just get this uprated. Because anything that uses need more lard to lube stuff up, yeah. I mean, that's our lubricant is an entirely different issue. That's I'm not even using the lard-based lubricant recipes right now because I can't make enough oleochemicals for anything else that I need. Does this take prod? No, this step does not take prod either. So I think the only place we can prod it is going to be at the organic acid anhydride. Oh, there we go. They're all four running now. That's what I wanted to see. Beautiful. That is a lot of titanium. What did I need to double? Well, we're not going to double it because we're also going to put prod modules in, but it's a mixer? Yeah, mixer. And then I'll update YAFC while the bots are throwing stuff in my inventory. We'll pop over to YAFC and I will update the YAFC page for the organic acid anhydride to account for the prod module in the second building. Let's see. That's going to be 16.5. I throw in prod modules. Hey, I can math. Cool. That is what that build is from now on, then. And the bots are going to want to bring me some more stuff, but we'll survive without it for now. Oh, and I should fix that inserter for plutonium while I'm thinking about stuff. Down in Nuke Land. It's this one. Yeah, they're balanced in the long term as, like, these neutron capture recipes run. But it's interesting to see how unbalanced the initial stuff that comes out of the particle accelerator is. And, like, we're waiting for more neutron capture runs to kind of rebalance all their inputs. Oh, nope. No, you don't. That's not going there. That mixer belongs somewhere else. Over here, in fact. Here we go. Prod modules. Yay. And that'll just get us, you know, 10% more organic acid anhydride, right? Which free stuff is always good to have, yeah. Especially with anything that is, like, input limited, where I can just run more of it. Vat brain cartridges are also, woohoo! We've almost got our first delivery of vat brain cartridges. Oh no, maybe that's our second delivery. Look at that! Science was up at like 15 a minute for a little while there. 15 a minute sounds like vat brains were running. Oh, no, maybe not, because I changed my layout to account for the vat brains, and that may not actually be true. Where's science running? Here. Products finished 0. Okay, so no, this has not actually run yet. I think it's just a matter of what we can keep up with as far as our science pack throughput. And obviously with, does power keep up? Power absolutely is keeping up with nothing right now. That's a known issue. We're still basically waiting for, and this is why I just added these prod modules to the organic acid anhydride. We're waiting for enough self-assembly monolayer material to be able to start getting, oh yeah, you can see how bad power gets when we're over someplace with lights. To start getting biomass 2. And once we have biomass 2, that'll solve our power issues for the short term. So I'm trying to do everything I can to unblock this, and ultimately it all comes down to lard being slow. So that's hard to deal with. But we do have a few hundred of these. I could drop them off at the mall, but I don't think we quite have enough to build the power plant yet, so I'm not going to rush it. And then, of course, mechanical parts is the other half of that, and we've got a few hundred of those as well. What are we waiting on? Electronics? Of course we are, and those are probably waiting on, yeah, MOSFETs. And MOSFETs are probably still waiting on Aramid. Yeah. Aramids should run shortly. Aramids is why we were fixing titanium. This is... We're several yaks deep here. But Aramids needed titanium, and they are running now, so... Once we get a delivery of Aramid down back to this part of the world, we'll, I should grab some thousands of landfill and get some more of these belts. Ended up using the long boy tanks and train stops. Fit surprisingly well with combinators and only 7 block. Are those the same ones that I use? The, these ones? Or is there a different one that's long? Nope, pretty much those ones. Yeah, they tile nicely and don't take up a ton of space. I use a different design that's a little bit more area dense for provider stations. But for requester stations, they're nice because they hold almost 3 trains worth, so they buffer a sort of reasonable quantity when they request. Which is why I chose them. So yeah, this centrifuge that does the plutonium peroxide is our limiting factor, and I'm fine with it running and being the limiting factor. We don't have to wait for, or we don't have to let everything else run continuously. You know, we absolutely could probably throw down another centrifuge here, but we're not going to need it for nuclear samples to come through. Like, 100 nuclear samples makes... What's the ratio on nuclear samples to science? 1 nuclear sample goes into 12 science packs. Yeah. So at 12 SPM, we only need 1 nuclear sample a minute. So I'm happy to let this just run slowly, and every once in a while we'll spit out a plutonium oxide and get it centrifuged or particle accelerated. I feel like we're playing pretty fast and loose with particle accelerators versus centrifuges. Like, pretty sure this is supposed to be a centrifuge. Although I guess you'd be centrifuging uranium hexafluoride, right? Which I'm pretty sure is actually just a later tech. Yeah. So I don't know what we're actually doing to process the uranium in a quote-unquote particle accelerator, but it's fine. You use 3 65K tanks for every fluid at every station because you're still pretending that you'll eventually upgrade to Tier 4 trains. So you wanted 150K of storage to handle 2 T4 fluid wagons. Ah! I know the T2 wagons are small. So my plan for upgrading to T2 was just to upgrade the locomotives, but not the tanks. I have no idea what the wagon sizes are for the other tiers. I haven't looked. Yeah, T4s are also small. Yeah, Piehard does modify tank sizes. I think. No, maybe not tank sizes. Maybe just chest sizes. I don't know if it modifies tank sizes. T1 and T3 are normal size. Yeah, that's what I thought. My plan was to go to T3 and hope that's good enough to carry me through to Pyrrhic victory. I'm just wandering around the base right now. I have no goals. I should decide on a goal. Yeah, okay, we're... Whoops. Did not mean to hit escape there. So yeah, this seems like hot air question mark? Oh yeah, I did say I was running low on hot air. That is true. How's that going? Is it still running low? It is still pretty much at capacity, yeah. Although we have a bunch of machines that aren't running right now. That may be part of the problem. Oh, hot air was broken for a little while, right? Because... Was it Biocrud? Why I saw that it was broken earlier today? I don't remember. What is hot air looking like in our overall... Ooh, boy! One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. It wants to be able to send 8 loads of hot air out. Yikes. So yeah, hot air might be a problem. Also, apparently we're out of molten tin again at solder. That's cool. Let's check on tin, make sure tin hasn't, like, failed. Nope. Is it just that we're still... Oh yeah, we just still haven't caught up on solid tin yet, but we're almost there. Which means molten tin should start accumulating again shortly. Tin has been catching itself up for a while now. Yeah, let's add... Let's add more hot air as a to-do. I think I'm actually going to call it here for today. I'm still not feeling great. after having canceled yesterday's stream, so I am going to not push myself and not push my voice when my throat is starting to be sore, and we're just gonna end things here. But good to see nuclear samples did finally turn on. Titanium's upgraded. I think the titanium upgrade was the big thing we did today. Otherwise, just a few bug fixes around. But progress is being made. Like, I'm watching this get a little bit fuller every time I look at it. So we might have close to enough of the self-assembly monolayer that I can just like hand deliver it to the mall next time. And maybe that will get us what we need for our power plant upgrade as well. That would be cool to see. But we'll have to double check that. We'll have to do the maths on how much monolayer we need for all the power plant buildings. Anyway, thanks very much, everyone, for tuning in. I really appreciate it. If you're watching this on YouTube and want to watch me live, there's a link to my Twitch down in the description. I stream every Tuesday and Thursday at 1 p.m. Pacific time. We have a reasonably sized group of folks today, so I'm going to figure out let me see if I can figure out a raid. Let's see if there's anyone doing anything interesting with Factorio.